Shalom Alechem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to First Chronicles chapter 7, in which there are 40 verses. Beginning in verse 4, we see our first difference. It reads here, "Were men mighty to set armies in array for war, versus were bands of soldiers for war." So the focus in the Septuagint is the adjective, mighty, describing that these men were exceptional in terms of their ability to set an array, or their strategy, their skill in warfare, versus the numbers being focused on in the Masoretic. Okay, and it says they had many wives and children versus sons. Verse 7, you know what, I'm going to ignore that one. It's not that important. Next, we'll go to verse 11. Verse 11 reads, "Going forth to war with might, versus fit to go out for war and battle." So we can see again the emphasis is on might, the adjective of might, versus being fit. Fit is related to fitness, you would think, or meet. When they say one is fitting, this is suitable. So they're suitable for, meaning they just meet the minimum requirement. But that's not what we're talking about here. Might is on another level altogether. Might is describing an elite fighting force, elite soldiers. These aren't merely, mediocre, or they just made the cut. When they say mighty men of valor, that's what they're talking about, the elite fighting force. The equivalent would be SEAL Team 6, or we look at the MI6 and they have their most brave soldiers who are the top 1 percentile, or even 0.1 percentile. Okay, so that's verse 11. I should say verse 11. Verse 12, talking about Husham, whose son was Aor, versus Aher is the father of Hushim. So we have two very different family trees being presented here. We have Husham being the father of Aor, and then on the other hand, we have Aor being the father of Hushim. Okay. Verse 13, Asher versus Jezer. Bala, his son, being Shalom's son, versus the sons of Bilhah, which makes no sense in the Masoretic because these names being listed here are the sons of Naphtali. It says here Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shalom. Okay, so how can they go to Bilhah? How can they be both the sons of Naphtali and Bilhah unless Bilhah is of the tribe of Naphtali? Okay, let's do a quick search on this name, Bilhah. Oh, I'm in the wrong window. Okay, Bilhah. Let's look at Bilhah. Let's fact check this. The sons of Bilhah. Okay, there you go. That's it. That's the only occurrence in the chapter of Bilhah. Just proved it. Okay. Verse 15 talks about a son, second son, which was inserted by the translator, versus the second was. So we have two scenarios here potentially in verse 15. I did say initially the Masoretic makes more sense because they are two wives, Macha or Mucha, and Safad or Zalafahad. That's how it seems to read, that Machir took a wife for Afin and Safin. So who are Afin and Safin? Two men. So who are the wives? Muka was the wife for Afin, and Safad would be the wife of Safin. Or Zelophehad would be the wife of Safin. That's how it reads to me. But if we read it the other way, that Safad is not a son, but is in fact a wife, I should say the first way, that Safad is a son. Afin is a son, and Safad is a son. So in the Septuagint, it reads like this. Machir took a wife for Afin and Safin, and his sister's name was Mukha, and the name of the second son was Safad. And to Safad were born daughters. Okay, so it sounds like Afin and Safin were given wives, yes. And his sister's name, Machir's sister, his name was Mukha, and the name of the second son, so Machir's second son, perhaps? So many ways to read this, but I'm open to other alternative scenarios. But to be fair, either is possible. Let's just be fair about that narrative. Okay, 23, verse 23, it says, he was afflicted in my house, versus because it went evil with his house. So the footnote for afflicted reads in evil. So he was in evils in my house. So the distinction that I draw here is in verse 23, he was afflicted in my house. Who's speaking here? Ephraim's house, versus it went evil with his house. So it went evil in Beriah's house, not so much in the house of Ephraim. Verse 24, there's an omission of, and he was among them that were left, he being Beriah. Beriah built Beth Horon, versus Shera built Beth Horon. So two different builders. And the descendants of Ozan were Sirah and Rapha his son. In the Masoretic, it reads Uzen Shara. Doesn't mean anything. Actually, does mean something. It means portion of Shera, a place. So this is a specific geographical location. Verse 27, this genealogy proves that Joshua, aka Jesue, or Yesue, is a descendant of the tribe of Ephraim. And we know Caleb is a descendant of the tribe of Judah. Verse 29, and as far as the borders, versus and by the border. So one is up to, describing it extended to this point, versus and by the border. So this is near the borders, not referring to the borders as a limit, but a general location, a general vicinity, and general area. Okay, that's verse 40 now. Going to verse 40. Okay, that was that verse. Verse 40. Addition of valor. Okay, of valor was added in the Masoretic. And it's important to notice regarding this name, Jephunneh, where we will see that name in actually verse 38. So verse 38, this is a different Jephunneh or Jephinnah, which is not the father of Caleb in the Septuagint and the Masoretic. This is not the same individual. This is a Jephunneh that is distinct from the Jephunneh of the tribe of Judah. This is a Jephunneh that is of the tribe of, drumroll please, I believe it is Asher, of Asher. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. Thank you very much for your time. Till next time, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.